My name is NonStopAntonio, and we're going to be breaking down episode 6 of The Flash season 9. You know, an episode of The Flash without The Flash. It wasn't all bad. It had some cool references to the earlier seasons of The Flash. It also had some cool comic book references. So let's break down the most recent episode of The Flash. Welcome to NonStopAntonio, where I talk about everything nerdy. I love Marvel, DC, and anime, and if you do too, I hope you enjoy this video. I want to start by saying that I really don't understand why the Flash TV show on its final season has a filler episode that does not have the Flash in it. I understand why they had him in the other seasons. They had 20-something episodes. You know, they needed to fill in some of that content. That way we were able to focus on some of the other characters a little bit more. But in its final season, I really do not think we needed that. And a lot of this plot could have probably easily fit in to another episode with Barry doing other stuff. Because of the fact that in this episode, we have Cecile and Allegra doing their own thing, helping out Becky Sharp, who we haven't seen since season 4. It felt like they really stretched out that storyline, and then the Khione storyline, it was like 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes max this entire episode, which could have easily been in another episode. And I don't understand why they did that. The showrunners were literally complaining that they didn't have enough episodes this season to really do what they wanted to do, which is obviously a lot of bullshit because they didn't have to use filler episodes. They could have done something with this. And now the show is taking a week break for whatever reason. I never really looked into it, but it's so annoying to see a show that only has 13 episodes take a random week break halfway through. And it's also looking like the next few episodes might also be somewhat filler. But we are getting Nia back next episode, so that's pretty cool, and I'm okay with that because Barry and Iris will actually be involved in this storyline rather than being off doing something else for whatever reason. And it also means we'll get a final send-off for some of these other Arrowverse characters who we don't get to see that often, so it's still a little bit cool on that end. Rather than the episode we got today, that just didn't have a lot in it. So in this episode, we have Becky Sharp returning, who we have not seen since season 4 of The Flash because she's dead. Well, she was at least. It turns out after Crisis on Infinite Earth, she got lucky, and they even referenced that she got lucky after a crisis. Really tying back that Crisis on Infinite Earth brought back a bunch of characters that we haven't seen in a while. She was dead because in Season 4, DeVoe took over her mind and body, trying to take each people's powers so he can take on the Flash. So I do think that was kind of cool, because they even referenced later in the episode when Cecile and Allegra were talking, because Allegra was like, didn't Barry say she died 5 years ago? So it was a cool little reference to Crisis, bringing back an old character, and later in the episode, they also gave her comic book accurate look, which I thought was pretty cool. However, the whole idea of the episode was interesting because she was almost framed for murder, which ended up being attempted murder, and then you had Cecile and Allegra doing CSI stuff that should have been just Barry in this episode finding the stuff, doing his CSI stuff that we don't get enough of, and then it's just Cecile going on a journey to realize that she thought she was happy being away from her family, but she's not. She's having a hard time with Joe and Jenna being off in the countryside while she's by herself, and she feels a lot of burden on herself because of it. She missed the morning of Jenna's birthday, so she feels like a bad mom. Then her powers aren't working properly because she doesn't feel like herself. And it's this whole journey for Cecile this episode to really see what she wanted, and then Allegra moving in with her so she doesn't feel so alone at home. Which, again, I feel like a lot of this story could have been put into a main storyline episode with it being its side plot. But the whole idea of this plot, this episode with Becky Sharp, with her fiance's brother turning around and trying to give her bad luck powers so that he can get money to fix his gambling debt, I don't know, it just did not sit with me. There were fun moments. I liked at the end where Becky's powers finally start working after they removed the stone that reversed her powers. She's able to use them and she kicks everyone's asses in like a little fun way. But again, like, I feel like this really wasn't needed, except it was cool to get Becky Sharp back. That was a highlight of the episode, getting a reference for season 4, getting someone we haven't seen in a while back, because I do like that. But let's talk about Khione's storyline, because the trailer for this episode set it up that this was going to be a major part of this episode, yet it really wasn't. It was like maybe 15 minutes max, but realistically, the story could have been put in 5. Because you have Chilblain trying to get her to use her powers, there's nothing coming out of it. She's not able to use anything. Mark is really upset because he feels like he lived Frost's death all over again. Because when she kissed him, the Frost powers came out to give him hope that Frost was still alive, which wasn't the case. Then Khione makes it snow inside Star Labs, and then that's it for the rest of the episode until the end, where we find out she has no metahuman abilities. She doesn't even have any human DNA in her except for like one gene, which just makes absolutely no sense because Caitlin was in the cryopod a human and came out not human. So there's something weird going on with her, but I'm still really bothered by the fact that no one is mourning Caitlin's death. Caitlin is gone. Caitlin died. They lost Frost and then they lost Caitlin, and no one's mourning this death. Like, yeah, Khione's technically her, she looks like her, but now that Khione's not even human, there's no Caitlyn anymore. Like, I don't understand what's going on with this character and why the showrunners put this in. I love Daniel Panabaker in the series, but I do not like what they're doing with this character because it makes no sense. I'm assuming later on we're gonna get a big like, holy shit, what is going on now? But right now, doesn't make much sense. And then at the end of the episode, they skip a week to have baby Nora's baby shower. So I'm assuming what they're going to be doing each episode is kind of pushing the story along 1 week, 2 weeks, and making it so by the end of the series, Iris will have Nora, so that they kind of end with a nice family moment of the season. It's just weird pacing in general. I still like stuff from this season. I feel like the season's really going to be bringing in a lot of like old characters we haven't seen in a while, having cool references from past seasons, getting other Arrowverse characters coming in. But the plot just seems kind of all over the place right now. I'm hoping it gets really, really good by then. Like, I don't hate it. It's not horrible. This episode just didn't hit with me. It was a little bit fun, but it really felt like it wasn't needed. And next episode, which isn't coming till March 29th, has Nia Nal Dreamer coming in, which is pretty cool. I haven't seen her in a while. It's going to be cool to see her interact with the Flash team because we haven't really seen her interact with the Flash team that much. And she's not like the other characters who have had years of crossovers where she never really got her time to meet anyone. Crisis and then like one thing after, I believe, and nothing much more. But it seems like until we get to this last arc of the season, it's going to be filler episodes. I've heard that the Green Arrow one is supposed to be a filler episode. The Dreamer one is somewhat of a filler because Nia and Iris get stuck in a dream. Iris is worried about her pregnancy and they have to get out. They're both cops in this dream, which looks like it's going to be fun. And it's cool to see Nia back. And I want to see more about what's going on with this. And I really do hope that these heroes we get introduced to come back at the very end of the season to help Barry out. Because I thought that was the whole point, was Barry going to recruit his friends to come help fight whatever this big threat was. However, it just seems like fun episodes till we get to that big fight. However, if it is just a filler episode and it doesn't really push the plot along, it will still be cool to see more Arrowverse characters before the season ends and the Arrowverse is over for good. But I do think this is going to be moving the plot along in some way. And I really hope it does, because I want the main plot to start focusing on Barry and have the rest of the season really focus on him and the people around him. And the baby storyline is probably going to be a big plot point for the rest of the season, because again, I do think that Iris is going to have the baby by the end of the season. But lastly, overall thoughts of the episodes is I think this could have easily been an episode within another episode, where a lot of these plot points could have been shrunk down and were just expanded on for no reason. And like, they had the CSI part with Allegra and Cecile, which realistically should have had Barry there, and I think Barry could have jumped into that side plot to help them. So I don't think they needed an entire episode for it. But let me know your thoughts. What did you think of this episode? Did you like it? Did you enjoy it? I mean, again, I had fun during it, but it wasn't really needed. I wish we saw more Barry during it. Were there any Easter eggs you noticed that I missed? Because I don't think there were that many other than the Becky Sharp stuff. I guess I'll catch you March 30th for the next breakdown, because the show won't be coming back till the March 29th. So I guess we're going to be waiting 2 weeks for the next one. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like, hit the subscribe button. It helps out the channel a lot. I'll put the other DC breakdowns in the description down below. Thanks for watching, and I will talk to you later.